Awesome. Well, thank you very, very much. And I would say, we do produce a lot of food on our land, but it's nothing like my friend Ray Tyler, who we've done some work with, who now has over 500,000 on a single acre. And so I told John, I said, you got to get Ray here next year because what he's doing is really, really crazy. But what my goal today is to do is to walk you through and just expand your vision about what is possible. Because our farm, we make income a lot of different ways. In the next 45 minutes or so that I have, we will kind of walk you through that and show you what's going on. So 4 season profits and a little bit about me. So a farmer and educator, farm coach. We have a podcast, speak around the country and around North America. We had Kilpatrick Family Farm for over a decade in upstate New York, and now we have the farm on Central and Southwest Ohio, and speak again all over the place. My start for farming and gardening got started really young. This is a picture of me. I'm the person on the blue shirt there. Now, I will want to say that I know it's a little bit hard to see up here. We have a lot of slides. I am going to make those slides available to you guys after the event, so you can just page through them and get all the details. We're going to talk financials in a little bit, so some of that stuff you want to spend some time and digest, you will get all of that. So rest assured that's going to come your way. All right, so gardening started off when I was quite young, and then we started Kilpatrick Family Farm in upstate New York. This was us at farmers market. 90% of our income came from farmers markets. We were production farming, so that was a field of onions. This was one of our hoop houses, brassicas, greens, and it's going to take a little bit for, I think, the computer to catch up here. Let's see. I overloaded the computer, yes. All right. So yeah, I can talk a little bit about our farm up there. And so we were at farmers markets. We did a large CSA. And that farm produced about $500,000 in sales up there. And that was, between the different crops that we had there. And that was only our production. So that basically everything that we produced, because we were a producer-only farmers markets, that was what we had there. Now, we were pretty lucky that we had pretty low costs over that, so we were able to maintain about a 21% gross profit margin on that. And so then we moved to Ohio in 2015. I got married, or 2014 I got married. 2015 we moved to Ohio when we started having kids, and a little bit different of a climate. And then we bought this farm here, the farm on Central, in 2020, middle of the pandemic. We were buying land, trying to beat the curve there a little bit. But it was a wasteland. It was a chemical wasteland. The year before we bought it, the farm had been sprayed with 13 different herbicides to try to knock the weed bank back. And then next year when we had it, those weeds came back with a vengeance, and we're still working through that. But we have a year-round on-farm small market, and we produce a lot of different crops on-farm as well. So you can see here, this is what it was in 2021. This is what it looked like in 2021. This is where everything was grown in 2021. And then we obviously have an online presence where we sell products. And it looks like I overloaded the computer again. But I'll keep going with, so we do a wide range of crops. And we sell those crops, well, we did until this year, in a old converted transit bus. So this is literally the inside of the bus. And we ripped out all these seats, and we put in shelves and some coolers and things like that to make that work. This spring, we went ahead and took part of our barn and started renovating it, and turned it into a farm store. So that's a little bit of what it looks like inside. These are just some of the crops we're bringing in. My daughter modeling our newest t-shirts. And we also have a farmstead wellness brand. So one of the things with our farm is it's very important for us to hire awesome people, and we all work hard, but then be able to provide them year-round income. And the problem with a lot of farms is they are seasonal, and that's with weather. So Farmstead Wellness brand was created so we could grow crops during the summer, and on the farm we produce our onions, our garlic, our ginger, our turmeric, our herbs, pretty much everything in the bottle except the black pepper and the apple cider vinegar. So that's why we started this brand, and it's really grown very quickly for us. And we're some awesome different places with that. So one of the reasons we bought this particular property is we're suckers for old houses. And we live in an 1897, basically historic brick house right there. This is what the farm looks like from the roof of that building. And this was, I think, last spring. So last 2021 we closed in, or 2022 we closed in almost short of 400,000. And actually I was talking to our new bookkeeper. She does say, based on her projections, looking at how our old bookkeeper did some wrong accounting, we should have been over 400,000, which was kind of our goal. So we did meet it, even though we were kind of disappointed at the end of the year and we didn't think we did. Now I will say that our farm is still seasonal. And it comes back to when we get into marketing here, we're going to talk about why that is and how we use one specific crop on the farm to drive our marketing machine for our business. Because as my mentor Paul Arnold told me, it's not learning how to grow the perfect carrot. The farmer is first a marketer, then a business person, and finally a grower. And I would be the first to admit that I'm not the best grower, but we do have a really good marketing grasp on what our community wants, and that's where our focus is. All right, so we have an online education company as well called Growing Farmers. And what we do with that company is we help farmers around the country realize and understand how to build profitable, low-stress farming systems. So every year we do Thriving Farmer Summits. We have a Thriving Farmer podcast now with over 1 million downloads. And we have a couple different courses and trainings and things around that. But let's get into where we're going today. First, we're going to dive into what a year on a diversified 4-season farm market looks like. We are at the end are going to talk about the 10 keys for market farming success. Because again, as I said, if you just go out and throw some seeds in the ground, you're not going to be successful with building a profitable farm. It's all the other things that are going to make it happen. Along the way, we're going to dive into a little bit about your story, about telling your farm story. We're going to talk about how we produce product 52 weeks out of the year. And we are going to talk about why farms are not just producing food anymore. So let's dive in with winter. In Ohio, winter can look crazy like this, or it can actually be raining in 52 degrees. And that's actually one of the challenges with that. So this is what it looks like in the fields in winter. Things are tucked in, put to bed. You can see in the front there, we have the lavender under cover. All the hoop houses are growing food. This is what the hoop houses look like in the middle of the winter, full of greens. We're selling greens all winter. And we'll give the computer a little bit of time to catch up again. One thing I do want to point out in southern Ohio, we are warm enough that we can grow crop year-round outside in the field. So this is actually spinach that is in January that went through a -8 degree temperature. And this stuff on the, let's see, on your left there, I think, the kind of bleached leaves, that was without row cover, and the stuff on the other side was with row cover. And so this stuff kind of sat there. In February, started growing, and in March, we were harvesting hundreds of pounds of spinach out of that particular area. Another thing in the wintertime is we are bottling our fire ciders. So all our fire ciders are made in the fall, and then in the wintertime, we are actually decanting that, putting that in bottles, and bringing that out for sale. And then again, January is when customers come back. They get all their food, for January 1st, their food commitments, and they're all back into the store. So we see that over the Christmas, we have a little bit of a lull, but they're back in January. And what kind of crops are we selling during the wintertime? So obviously, we got lots of greens. We showed you those greens. We do a lot of winter radishes, and some of the crops that we'll grow in the summer and put in storage. And then we'll bring them out January, February, March to pull people back in because, oh, this is interesting now. I want to check out what this new crop is. We do frozen ginger and turmeric, so we grow those crops during the summer. We freeze a lot of these crops, and then they will come out and be able to sell them all winter long as well. And then, of course, salad mix. Salad mix on our farm is the #1 crop behind strawberries, and we sell that 52 weeks out of the year. Do some microgreens, and I don't know, do I go back? Is that how I fix this? John, I'm just going to need an assistant. I'm going to need you as an assistant up here, unfortunately. All right, there we go. And January is also seeding. So we're starting to seed our tomatoes and peppers and things that we are going to use to grow during the summer. Like right now, we're harvesting hundreds of pounds of tomatoes a week, and that's because we started those seeds back in January. Also, we're trying to keep our crew busy with weeding. So this is actually weeding in one of our onion houses, and you will see this house a little bit here again as we page through that. Also, we are doing classes. So education on our farm is one of the most important things we feel that we can do, and we'll talk a little bit about why we do that later. This is strawberry fields. They're getting cleaned up. Again, strawberry season is really big for us. We will keep working through this as we can. All right, and visiting conferences. So education is important for us. This is actually a conference we did on Tennessee for Joel Salatin, which was super exciting to privilege that he will bring us in for that. All right, so spring. So spring is when the crops really start taking off. And with spring, we're doing plants in the greenhouse. So we do a fair amount of plants for our community, everything from strawberries to different herbs. We do our own cuttings. And so this is one of the most profitable things you can do on your farm. As you can see right here, there's a tray. This was from like 3 plants of lavender, and now we've got hundreds of little lavender starts that you now can put in a 7-inch pot or 4.5-inch pot and sell for $7. So again, the exponential aspect of some of these enterprises on your farm can be great. Another big aspect of our farm is shipping elderberry cuttings and lavender cuttings and comfrey all around the U.S. And so you can see comfrey roots there, and you can see one day's a male going out on the other side of that picture. So that's important for us as well. We also produce, we also reprocess fertilizer for some of our people at our store. So we'll take we get it in 50-pound bags by the pallet. We'll break it down in little 5 pounds for people. And what you have to look at is just like it's only like $7, but you have to look at your margin on that. So that bag of fertilizer by the pallet cost me $2 for that bag, and we're selling it for $7. So again, that margin is really great. All right, so this is more plants. This is as we move into the earlier spring right there. This is one of our hoop houses. So we've got peas. Those peas were seeded in February. And then right down the center of that, we've got mini broccoli. And you can't see underneath the peas, but that was all planted with lettuce, which we already harvested out. Strawberries. So moving into strawberry season there. That is the biggest crop for us on our farm. We do about $100,000 a year in our 3 to 4 week strawberry season with those. Another value add we do for our community is rototilling gardens. So this isn't even done by me anymore. It's one of our partner farms that actually do the rototilling. It helps us sell more plants, and it helps us get ourselves into new areas of the community. And because they have someone to rototill their garden, they're going to plant a bigger garden. Again, strawberries are big for us. We're planting in the coop houses now, so this is turmeric. And tomorrow I'm speaking on turmeric and ginger growing, so make sure you join me for that because it's a lot of fun. And now we're moving into the field. This is lettuce in the field. And then we're moving into summer. So summer is where we start pulling in a lot of harvest. We've got the elderberries flowering. We've got tomatoes in the greenhouse. Starting to look at that garlic. We do fun things like, don't call them squash, call them courgettes. And you can charge twice as much. And then tomatoes. And the other interesting thing is, if all your neighboring farmers are selling by the pound, sell by the pint. It's one of those things, if you can disassociate people with exactly the quantity they're doing, is they don't realize what you're actually charging. And one of the things that we're competing with in our area is a lot of really cheap produce coming over from Indiana. And again, we're organic, we're putting a very high quality product, and so we have to change up kind of how we present the product in order to get the premium price that we need to survive. And then another thing we do is some processing. So right now, like if we have any seconds on tomatoes, in some farms, those are going to go to the chickens. They're going to go out to the pigs. We turn them into salsa. In this particular picture right here, it's a fermented salsa that we produce. And we have some fun in the summer. So one of the things, I have a lot of ideas. And the idea of this was to buy an old fire truck, rip the entire back off, and turn it into a mobile pizza oven. And we have since to do that because I have a little too many projects on my plate. But it did make a great 4th of July parade. And we had a lot of fun with that. So we'll do things like zoodles. We actually make more money on our farm on selling zoodles than we do squash. Same thing for squash blossoms. We make more money on squash blossoms than we do the actual squash. We also shuck sweet corn. And again, it's the simple act of taking the leaves off, putting it in a bag, and now you've doubled your money. Little kits. So these are kits we make. So this is basically a couple tomatoes, a sprig or two of cilantro, a small onion, and a jalapeno, and now you're charging $8. And we also, on our farm, bring in products. So this is where we're working with an orchard down in the Carolinas, and we bring in a couple pallets of peaches. And again, our goal is to provide a service for our community, and this is one of those services we can provide as well as do a healthy margin. So this is usually just 1 week's worth of peach orders right there. And now we're starting to move into things really growing. And so you can see here he's harvesting celery out of the greenhouse. And I will say, celery is probably one of the most profitable crops we have per square feet. And the reason why is we treat it as a cut and come again, or we actually just peel off the outside leaves, and we will get 3 to 4 bunches off every plant. And so that 100-foot bed made over $2,000 for us last year. All right, and now we're into pickle season as well. We do a lot of pickles, and it was one of those things. We'd actually cucumbers, we threw them in jars, we threw them in the store, and literally we sold out. At one point last year, 2 years ago, 10% of our sales for that week was just pickles. People were obsessed with them. And they still buy them, but not as much right now. Ginger and turmeric, so this is a picture of turmeric in one of the tunnels we do. And now we're moving into fall. So with fall, we're getting into lots of harvesting. So you can see there's ginger being harvested, more tomatoes, lots of peppers. This is hibiscus. So this is cranberry hibiscus, and we harvest that. We'll sell it fresh. We'll also dry it and sell it as a tea. And this is drying it. We have a great big 2-door cooler, and we just put a fan in there and a little heater in there, prop the door open. Now I've got a giant dehydrator. And we do some fall crops too. So we will bring in some local pumpkins. It's not a lot of sales for us, but again, it's about bringing people to our business every single day that we're open. So here's a shot of fall greens. If you are going to start market farming, one of the easiest ways to dip into that, your toes into that, is with a fall garden. Growing fall greens, fall crops is very, very easy, and it's a really profitable way to make some money with some fall greens. The other thing is those greens will typically go really late into the season for you as well. So we'll harvest all the way to the Christmas from the field. All right, and we do some cauliflower too. Now, with cauliflower, we don't sell the heads, because with cauliflower, it's a long time in the field. We have very limited acreage. And you can see here, the one in the center has got some rot spots on it. So what we do is we turn it into little bags of cauliflower florets, and we charge $6.50 a pound. Now, if you charge $6.50 a pound for regular cauliflower, they would laugh at you and walk away. But because we have floreted it, put it in a bag, these fly off the shelves, and we are going to probably double our cauliflower production next year. All right, so hoop houses are just sitting there. So this is actually a picture of that hoop house that we showed earlier, and you can see that it's just getting planted in the fall. This is decanting, starting to decant in the fall, starting to decant some of our fire ciders, and then making some of our other process. So this is a comfrey salve that we make with comfrey grown on the farm. And again, those crops during the summer, because we're so busy, we throw them in the dehydrator, we dry them down, they go in the freezer, and then the wintertime is when we start having the time to make some of these products. And this is now fall. You can see all the crops are kind of covered up, and stuff is being put to bed for the winter. And snow. So we do get a little snow in Ohio, where we are in Ohio. I would say we average about 6 to 8 inches during the year, but frequently most of the winter there's really nothing on the ground for us. All right, so now that was a little bit of a year and of what our farm looks like. I want to dive into 10 keys now for your market success. So the first one is your farm is unique. And you read these books, you look at these online Instagram farms, and you're like, man, I need a farm like that. And you start doing a farm like that, and it doesn't work. And you're like, I don't know why, he's doing it. But the biggest thing is that your farm is going to be different, your farm is unique because your soil is different, your markets are different, you are different because your skill set is going to be different than those Instagram farmers. And so, with our farm is a lot different. This farm actually is a lot different than my last farm. My last farm, we were filling 2 40-foot containers with root crops every single fall. And we would sell through those by May of the next year. Now, we're doing a lot less production. We've moved to a lot more perennials. We showed you some of the elderberries and the comfrey and some of those perennial crops we grow. And we are having thousands of people come visit us. In our strawberry season, we'll probably in 3 to 4 weeks, we have about 5,000 people visit our farm. So we're different. And you have farms, on the right there, you have the fall festival farm. And I've seen those work very, very successfully. You have our type of farm there in New York where we're doing 90% of our business through 3 farmers markets a week. And that was a production. I realized that over the years we were farming up there, I did 1,000 farmers markets. So we got really good at it. But then you have on the right there a little tiny shed which a farmer has on their farm. They had a little self-serve stand. So again, the variety is endless. You can build what you want. But what you do need to do is make sure the numbers work for you. This is a farmer, Woody. He's on the East Coast. I think he's in Maryland. He started in his front yard. During the pandemic, he basically created a traffic jam in his neighborhood because everyone was trying to buy his food because they, were kind of freaking out a little bit. He has since moved he does a lot of soaps now. He does a kimchi where he grows some of the cabbage, makes kimchi and hot sauces and stuff like that. And now he and his wife are full-time on the farm in a suburban environment. I used to believe that a farm was an island. That was our previous farm, is we were producer only, we grew all our own products, and they shall produce everything that they sold. But now I realize that our goal is to cheerlead our community towards healthy eating, growing, and sourcing in the best of the region. And this was a little bit of a change for me because, again, I was really proud of the fact that in New York, we were growing 40 to 50 crops a year, doing a really high level production. But when we moved to Ohio, we started to just really understand with a lot more urban area, just the incredible illness and unwellness in our area. And Ohio used to be one of the manufacturing capitals of the US. There was GM, there was GE, there was Duramax diesels actually still made up the road, 20 minutes up the road from us. But what came with that and all that manufacturing was a lot of PCBs and asbestos and all these nasty chemicals, which basically made our entire community very, very ill. Right up the road from us was the Mound, which was one of the largest nuclear experimenting stations in the US. And when they had to reclimate that, they brought in, I forget how many train loads of soil actually had to be taken to Texas and dumped because just how ill they had made the entire area. And so our kind of, over the years before we started the farm, we lived in Ohio, we saw our community sick. We saw, 40, 50-year-old people dying of cancer, having canes, and that is something that we wanted to change. And now we could come in and we could ram in our, hey, you need to eat only organic, and you need to do all these different things. But we also realized that these blue-collar workers, and a lot of them now retired, did not have the budget for that, and that there was no way if we pushed them hard for this that they were going to do that. And so what we came in is we're like, how can we cheerlead and steward and educate our community baby steps at a time? And maybe it'll be a year or 2 or 5 or 10 years before they get to where we want them, but they are going to be living happier, healthier lives, and their kids and grandkids will be way better off for it. So that is kind of our mission now in our community with our farm. And with that, we need partnerships because we can't do it all. So we on our farm do 4 different types of partnerships. We have a herd share dairy that drops off in our cooler, and we're one of their largest distribution points. And they have us on Thursdays when they drop off. Our parking lot is just endlessly busy with people coming to pick up that awesome raw milk. Now, we're just a drop point. We don't make any money off that other than whatever they ended up spending in our store beyond their milk. We also carry local items in our store. We carry some other milk, we carry some eggs, we carry honey that is actually produced somewhat on our farm, and we do a markup on that. We do bulk orders from trusted partners, like we talked about some of those peaches, and then we do consignment as well, though we really try not to do that. So what's important to me with our farm? Because again, your farm is going to be unique. It's seeing Facebook messages talking about how the food tastes like grandma's vegetables used to. It's seeing the mom say, my kids love to come to your farm because they are experiencing nature just how they don't get to experience it. And then obviously the 3 kids that we have is very important to me as well. So again, with that too is the feed and educate our community. It's times with kids and friends, provide a respite from the busyness of people's lives, and to build a rock solid team that loves what we do and has fun doing it. I really love hanging out with the awesome people that I have working for us and just seeing them grow and just seeing how they get excited about the food that we put out every single week. So as John was saying earlier, our income last year right around that $400,000 mark. The farm market, over 50%. We do an online farmers market wagon, which is a few percent. Our CSA or veggie box is about 25, and then we do some online sales and wholesale as well. But the biggest thing for our farm, again, the #1 crop besides our strawberries is our lettuce. We plant that pretty much every single week throughout the year, that we're producing hundreds of pounds every single week. Again, the plants are big for us in the spring. We do some perennial crops like lavender, elderberries. We now have, you pick blackberries going in, raspberries. This fall we'll start with raspberries, and we have blueberries as well. So again, we realize that people will come in for the fruit, and then they'll buy everything else. So fruit for us is one of those major marketing streams, and we'll get into that a little bit later as well. As you can see here, the value add is very important as well. And this is one of the biggest things we realized, is that people don't want to cook. People don't want to prepare. They want to stop at our shop, they will spend $30, $40, and then they will go home and create that into 1 or 2 meals, and they're happy. But if we were to charge this, if they were to pick that same amount of dollars in vegetables, they didn't want to pay that kind of money for just the tomatoes. But when you turn that tomato into a salsa, they're now willing to pay $40 a pound when you kind of run the numbers on that salsa. So it's really interesting was the connection we made. And so we're like, with our farm, the goal is to be a responsible and sustainable farm business. And so that means that we need to move this business to what our customers want to buy. Because we could say, you know what, we're going to be this specific type of farm. We're only going to grow these types of things. You can do that. You can also go out of business. So we chose to adapt to what our changing market conditions wanted. One of the other things we do is we'll also take products that are other people's products and work them as well. So here's honey sticks. So I kept talking to my honey guy, and I was like, who actually has hives on our farm. So the honey comes basically from our farm. He takes care of the hives. He sells us back the honey at a premium price, which is completely fine though, because he grows it specifically how we want it. But he kept telling me, oh, it's too expensive to put the honey sticks and make honey sticks. And I was like, well, why is that? He said, well, I have to send it to out to Oregon because there's only one place that does it, and it's $250 to ship that out there. Well, I called the company and I was like, well, how many honey sticks do I get for 5 gallons of honey? So I ran the numbers and I started sharpening my pencil a little bit better, and I realized that, I'm sending out a couple $100s of honey, but I'm getting back a couple $1,000s worth of honey sticks. And so we have actually now this year sold over 50% of the 4,800 honey sticks that we got back. And so again, it's one of those things. Take 1 pound of honey, turn it into 100 honey sticks, and you're making far, far more money. It's all about the value add. So we bring in cider from a local apple farmer. He is one of the oldest apple farmers in Ohio and produces very low spray product. And so for us, it was being able to share what he's doing because we want to support people doing that kind of thing. People using low spray, people, building family farms. And then we take that, put it in a slushy machine, and we sell apple cider slushies. And that is where we make $36 a gallon on our cider. All right, educational classes. Again, sourdough classes. My wife makes a great sourdough loaf, and she has now we probably had like 80 to 100 people come through our sourdough classes at $57 a person. And when you run the numbers on that, she's making $400 an hour for teaching those sourdough classes, and they're incredibly easy to sell out. Now, this isn't necessarily farming, but this is about building community. This is about bringing more people to our farm. This is about expanding our influence and getting our community to eat healthier, because we all know that sourdough bread is much better than what they're currently eating. All right, so let's move on. Again, we talk about the upsell here. Strawberry season for us is selling berries. But with that too, you can sell shortcake, biscuits, cream, jam kits, strawberry t-shirts, and we do strawberry kits in the fall. So we sell them straw, strawberry plants, fertilizer, and row cover because we do annual bed strawberry systems. And again, our strawberry slushies. We paid for our strawberry slushie machine within a couple weeks, and I think it's probably going to pay for my kids' college and maybe a set of shoes on the way as well. We do ginger. So again, for ginger is us, great, grow ginger. But we also do the farmstead wellness with it. We dry it and make ginger teas. We do all sorts of other things as well. We could candy it. I didn't have a picture in here, but we made some lemon ginger curd, which was delicious as well. And then we took the fire cider and we turned it into fire cider dressing. So we make a salad dressing with it, which is absolutely delicious. And we made $3,000 in just that this year as well. So again, looking at these opportunities and seeing what people want is the story of our farm. Now, the second key is know your story. And this really comes back to building that marketing system. So there's 3 steps with that. First one is know your customer, build your value ladder, and then leverage technology to share your message. And so, really, what is your customer and what is their journey? Because everyone's customer is going to be different. So, there's 600, 800, maybe 1,000 people here. And I realize that this talk is actually only going to be really, really, really relevant for a small percentage of you. And what you have to realize is that that's the same thing in your community. We have 5,500 people that live in our little city, but we only realize that about only 2 of them are actually regular shoppers, because not everyone wants lettuce. They want, steak. They want these other things. They really love McDonald's, which more power to them. So with us, we are crafting and doing our avatar work. So, we have a specific avatar we know that we're selling to. And when we do our marketing, we are referencing what that person is interested in, what that person wants. And again, this right here is a slide. I can't go through the whole thing, but on one side, you got your McDonald's junkie. On the other side of the screen, you've got your Earth Muffin tree hugger. And we definitely have a few of those customers, and they're our best customers because they are happy to spend the prices knowing that we are working our hardest to create awesome food for them. So your ideal customer is the person who is most likely to buy what you're selling at the price you want them to, okay? Because price is a key aspect right here. You can sell, $2 little thing containers of salsa all day, but if you now increase that price to $6, which is what you need to charge to make your farm operate and to pay your team, that's a lot less people. So you have to really look at those people. All right, so to gross $100,000 a year, you need $25 sales, all the way up to $100,000 sales. So the kind of reference right there is always be focused on increasing the average sale. So this is the numbers so far this year. This is actually only for our shop. So we're already up 46% for just the shop this year. But what the point I want to point out, you can see at the bottom there, is we're up almost 11% in the average sale. So again, same number of customers, just moving the dollars per transaction up, which is what you want to see. So that's $15,000 for the same amount of customers. So the journey here, they come to market, they work through. The goal is that they become a raving fan of your business. And we need to keep moving through this because I'm rapidly running out of time. I promised John that even though I had 250 slides, I would fit it in 45 minutes. Okay, so what time am I really looking at? So one of the 11:05. Okay, we're gonna make it happen. So one of the things with our training is we have to work with farmers all over the U.S. This is a wonderful story of a young lady who started a farm on the West Coast. The fires hit her multiple times. She ended up being able to fund her move across the country because she had moved her farm to selling jams and it built a subscription model with those jams. So people were buying her jams through subscription, and she was able to move across the country and still build her farm again. All right, couple things for marketing, some top things that you need to do for your business. Do your Google business profile, have it updated. We now have over 30, almost 5-star reviews. And again, people look at that. We get hundreds of hits a week to that. Referral, word of mouth. So when we first started out, we handed out these 10% off coupons. Bring a friend and get 10% off. And we saw our traffic instantly increase. Email marketing, the absolute #1 way you will sell things on your farm is build that email marketing. We have a list now of almost 2,500. Super excited about that. Again, with that email, with building that local community of people that love your farm, we work with farmers around the U.S. that are fighting food injustice. And what I mean by that is government intrusion into the food system. And this is one of the people we worked with, is they said farmers shouldn't sell beef. People should buy it at the store. And I was like, no. Build your community, let people learn who you are, and they will support you when you have to deal with those government agents. So key #3 is understand product optionality. This is actually something that we'd done, but I really kind of opened this concept by my friend Curtis Stone. And I was at one of his trainings, and he was talking about this, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So how can you sell the same thing multiple times? We love carrots. You can sell them as baby carrots, bunch carrots, bulk carrots. Then you can, wash them, store them in the wintertime. Then you can sell them as root bags, of the seconds. Then you can take your seconds and chop them up and turn them into salads. Compare that to melons, something like melons. Rain can ruin them. Very short season, doesn't store well, sometimes hard to know when ripe. So then low yield per acre. And if you have rain, it can really challenge things. So again, very different when it comes to these different crops here. So with strawberries here, we do a lot of strawberries. It's kind of our key to our marketing. It brings lots and lots of people in, but it does have some problems with optionality. There is some challenges there. But we do have the thing that customers can't get enough. So anytime we put pick tickets out, we sell out of tickets. Yes, we charge people money to come to the farm just to pick berries, and they happily pay it. I think this year we made $2,000 in just ticket sales for people to come pick our berries. But we do turn them into those other products, the strawberry slushies. We can, turn them into strawberry shortcake, all these other things that a strawberry can turn into. The key #4 is to know your numbers. And so this one I really want to spend some time on here. There's one slide in particular. That's the one slide you take away. I want you to do it. But one of the things with all the inflation we've been having is look at what your current inflation rate, your overhead rate, enterprise budgets, and your rolling cash flow projections. So this is something we created 2 years ago when we started seeing inflation fly through the roof, because we saw a lot of farmers massively raising their prices. We were like, you don't need to do that because not everything's going up. So we created this spreadsheet, and it literally walks people through exactly putting in those actual costs. So calculating overhead too, and again, I'm going to fly through this slide here, but we have broken down our farm, the number of beds we have on our farm, and we counted a 34-week season. And then we broke down all the overhead, which was about $98,000 we figured. And that meant that every single bed during that 34-week season had to cover $8.23 of overhead. And so that meant that when we now take our dollars per square foot calculator, this is a dollars per square foot week calculator, so basically it says how many dollars does this crop return to this per square foot for the entire season. And then we now put that number in the end of it, and we can see which crops make way more money than others. Now, 2 crops on here, just for a couple of comparisons, ginger and garlic. Ginger makes us way more money per square foot. It is more challenging, has more work than garlic, but again, we're very short spaced, and so having that overview and knowing what we're making is really important. Enterprise budgets, so looking at exactly what you're making for a specific thing. Because if you're selling pickles, are you actually making money on that? And where's that money going? So one of the things we do is break that down here. And again, we're gonna pop through these pretty quick. But I do want to share that pretty quickly here. So we got raw materials. This is the cost of production. So that's $1.41. You've got your packaging, $1.32. You've got your labor for processing, $1.92. And then you've got overhead, if you got a kitchen, all that sort of thing. So you break that out, and our current cost per jar of pickles was $4.65. So knowing that is super important. So key number 5 is effective systems. So we saw earlier slide of someone weeding onions. This is what those onions looked like about a month and a half ago. But the big thing about systems is I see a lot of farmers start and they plant a little bit here and they get this things going on, but they don't have a repeatable system that allows them to have consistent product. We have consistent lettuce typically about 50 weeks out of the 52-week year. And that's because we have repeatable systems that we know the exact steps that we have to do to create that. This is when we do strawberry tips. So we do about 20,000 strawberry tips a year. We can set all of those in one day. And the reason for that is we're completely set up. The greenhouse is set up. The trays are there. And so when the tips come, the crew stands there and they can do those in just one day. One of the things here I want to point out is some SOPs, so cleaning SOPs. This is a little cheat sheet we have for crew to know what carrots go to first and what go to seconds. And then one of the next key here is fill your bus. You need the right people on your bus. And you have to know first what you're hiring for. So you don't just want the neighbor kid, because frequently they may just be there for the money, and we've definitely had those people. So we hire for attitude, and we train for technique. We have a lot of people come through our farm that haven't really had the commercial ag experience, and that's fine with us. We can train that. But we know that attitude, if they have a bad attitude coming in, that's only going to expand, because farming is hot, dirty, hard work. So we have a pretty vigorous hiring process, a job description with vigorous applications, throw in a few twists, phone interviews, in-person interviews, we do working interviews, and then we will write an offer letter. We do some seasonal workers, that's going to be slightly different. But we do try to give our team a fighting chance. And what I mean by that is we try to train properly. And again, as a new startup, that can be really challenging sometimes. We don't have the systems in place. But we have instituted something called a 30-60-90. So that lays out the entire job description and gives them key benchmarks that we want to try them hit while they're being onboarded. All right, tool tip, we use Homebase for managing the team. It works great. The other thing is key 7, which is managing your ecosystem. And again, this is something that I think is super key, but there's way more eloquent people like Joel Southton, which talks about this on a regular basis. But the biggest things for us is cover that soil, keep your soil covered. This is the first year we came on the farm, we grew sunflowers, because again, that covers the soil and it pulls out those bad toxins. This is another field covered, going right into the second cover crop. And this is the exciting part of farming, is seeing the birds come back, seeing the praying mantis egg sacs on the trees. So we do a lot of perennial crops and buffers. We got hedgerows, we've got wilding strips, mulch. We use all sorts of things like that. And water. Water is so key. For us, especially as a market farm doing a lot of annual production, it's way more important. As a perennial farmer, you can get away with less per acre, but we really need to be able to put on about an acre inch per week during the summer. So understanding water systems, we use a lot of these overhead irrigation and mulching. A lot of mulching happens as well. And then we try to conserve water as well. All right, key 8, family harmony. And again, I'm going to just briefly touch on this. But I want to say that if your family is not on board, and so many of the farm businesses that I see really struggle, is one loves it and one really doesn't want to. And what our goal with our growing farmers company is to really show people how farming can be profitable and it doesn't have to take over their life. So this was, on the right there, that's us on a Sunday morning sampling all the different varieties of strawberries to know what we're going to grow for the next year. But also going out and doing fun things as a family. Going to the zoo, really trying to take that express time off the farm to build our family together. And we have tried to make different parts of the farm unique and aspects that the kids really enjoy those. So key 9 is the right tools. And again, we are seeing massive changes in weather right now. And for me, protected culture is key. So having those hoop houses, having those high tunnels is super important. We harvest year-round in them. It really does help things grow. BCS walking tractors are great. I actually was a larger tractor person until about 2 years ago, and then I started using walking tractors, and now I'm pretty much of a convert. All right, weeds, managing weeds is super important as well. And we're gonna do some market tool demos later. I'm super excited about that, brought a bunch of tools. We are just gonna spend time and walk you through exactly how we use those tools and how you can too as well. So I'm super excited about that. Key number 10, and I'm gonna end with this, is invest in education. So you're all here, it's awesome that you showed up, that you are investing from some of the best in the industry who are gonna teach you, how you can build this dream of yours. And maybe it's just, I wanna grow a few crops on one side, or maybe it's you really wanna go to the full, make this your full-time business, and that's great. But I wanna say in this picture are some of the top names that people don't know in small-scale organic farming. You got Elliot Coleman sitting there at the end. You got Curtis Millsap, who's a farmer out in Missouri I've learned a lot from. You got David Greenberg, Nova Scotia, doing farming up there. Paul and Sandy Arnold, my mentors. So people that literally have brought the industry forward 20 years. And they're just the names that, they're just doing their thing on their farm. They're not the Instagram farmers. They are we're growing food and feeding our community farmers. So, spending time with some of those people traveling the U.S. has really helped me up my game. JM's a great friend of mine. He was speaking in Dayton a couple years ago. And I called him and said, hey, I know you're flying out. Do you need a ride to the airport? And he's like, I was going to get one, but you can give me the ride to the airport if you want. So I showed up at the conference, took him over, and on the way he was like, what's this all about? What do you need? And I was like, nothing. I just wanted 30 minutes to spend with my friend who, I've known for 10 years, and one of the first farms he visited in New York was actually our farm. He visited, I didn't even know the guy at the time. He's like, I'm a farmer, I'm coming through, and I was like, well, sure, the greenhouses are there, I'm not gonna be there, but feel free to look around. And, now he's, world famous celebrity farmer out there. But again, great friend of mine, does great work. But, spending time with these people and learning from them is such a key. Darren Doherty from Australia. And this is why we do the summits. This is why we do the podcast, mainly for my education, so I can ask these people amazing questions. But, get out there, 10 events like this, learn from those best. I'll leave you with 3 things today. 1 is you only have very short time here on this earth. This is 2 pictures taken 6 months apart. And again, I'm going to go fast. You're not going to be able to look. But if you look at each of those kids' faces, you will see the change of just what 6 months does. So if you have a family, treasure time with them, spend time with them. And again, farming's awesome, and we love what we do. But also, do not let it be all-consuming. Second is give people what they want. A lot of people love to complain about how farming is not profitable and you can't make a thing about it. The market is changing. Absolutely, the market is changing, and you have to adapt to make it work. And third is I am super excited about the future of small-scale farming because there is so much awesome things happening. There's so much technology. There's events like this happening. There is just the acceptance of it is great as well. And so I want to encourage you to go home and do your part in moving this movement forward. And if it's one thing, just grow one thing. Sell one thing on your farm. And I wish you all the best, and thank you so much for coming today.